Crumpets Espresso. Crumpets Espresso.
Greetings and salutations, everyone. It's Nick. It's the Garlic Bread Warlord. Yep. Soccer over there. Crumpets Espresso, and apparently now European competition bans. This is probably going to get covered in the Crumpets part. I'm not trying to steal anyone's thunder here, but this is not your normal preview section of the show. I know. I get it. I'm with you. But I have to hit one thing up before we dive into the Man City stuff, and that is that Cagliari banned some racist, I'm going to admit the name, individuals, there we go, for life, for being ignorant racists. Look at that. People can change. Isn't that something? When people keep screaming out for people to do the right thing, sometimes it works. Sometimes people take notice and say, maybe we need to change our ways. Well done, Cagliari. I salute you. It's very rare that we get to say anything positive about Serie A, but now that I have the chance to do so, I'm going to jump at it, okay? Now, let's talk a minute about Man City. Man City, it's not breaking news anymore. We know what the punishment is. But let's talk about the problem. The problem is a team like Man City that is backed by some of the richest people on earth had to breach financial fair play compliance to be competitive. Think about that for a minute. Team owners worth billions and billions of dollars had to find ways of secretly moving money and lying about sponsorship income in order to maintain financial fair play compliance. And what is financial fair play compliance? You have to balance your books over a 3-year period. I mean, sure, there's like Article 4, subsection 2, paragraph, itemized 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 on down, varying rules that they have to meet. But in a nutshell, you have to balance your books over a 3-year period. Man City can't do that. AC Milan couldn't do that. PSG under the microscope. Ladies and gentlemen, something is very wrong with world football when your giants are being exposed like this. And I see two camps of people on Twitter. I see the people wearing various shades of red who are screaming and jumping up and down in exultation. Oh, yes, ding dong, the witch is dead. Pep is going to move on. Man City, those upstarts, those well-heeled upstarts, they're going to pay for their crimes by missing Champions League for 2 years. Blue, ha 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 ha. Twirling their mustaches as Man City is led away figuratively in handcuffs. Well, this is not a Matlock episode, right? This is not Law and Order. What we have here is a problem. Let's remember Chelsea. They had a 2-window ban for transfer violations, issues with youth players. I mean, they had 475 players on loan. They had to do that to succeed. That's a problem. Man City had to move money through shell corporations, lying about sponsorship dollars. That's a problem. Milan had to spend like a drunken sailor, 250 million euro in transfer money spent for nothing. It's a problem. We could talk about how wealthy these organizations are. We could talk about how successful they are. Are they the greatest team of all time? Well, how much money do you have? Let's find out. Why do I say that? I say it because you're literally having to buy success these days. I mean, I'm not mad. Get your money. I mean, everyone's doing it, right? Because we have one fundamental issue, and I'm going to quote the movie Enter the Dragon. You see, in the movie Enter the Dragon, it's one of the most legendary kung fu flicks of all time. And if you have not seen it, you must watch it. It's Bruce Lee. It is the gold standard of kung fu movies. The villain is a former Shaolin monk named Mr. Han. And Mr. Han lost his hand, right? And so the issue is that he, being a former monk, occasionally a pretty wise guy, right? He has some wisdom to him. And when he meets one of the supporting characters, Mr. Williams, he says, Mr. Williams, we all want to win, just as we are born knowing only life. It is defeat that you must prepare for. And Mr. Williams, in one of the great movie retorts of all time, says, when it comes, I won't even notice because I'll be too busy looking good. I love that. And I think that's how most teams react. They all want to win just as we were all born knowing only life. But the problem is they don't prepare for defeat. They don't prepare for the valleys. They all want only peaks, only winning. It's unsustainable. A lot of sales organizations see this in corporate America. Well, we have to beat last quarter's numbers by 12%. When we have to beat those numbers by 14%. It's unsustainable. You're going to have valleys, and you have to figure out how to weather the valleys. Now, Ajax, getting back to soccer, has this model. We develop players, or we buy cheaply, develop those players as well, and we sell them at a fantastic markup. This means we will always, or should always, be competitive in the Eredivisie, but we have to take our shots when we can in Champions League. Now, we may not always get to the top of the mountain, but we're going to be competitive each year, and that's what we're going for. Competitiveness. We're going to win when we can, but we understand that we won't always have the squad necessary to do it. So the players move on. Now, some other teams are starting to adopt this approach. Not obviously the same playing style as Ajax, not the full-on mentality of Ajax, but look at Inter. Lautaro Martinez, they brought him in for what, 15 mil? He has a release clause now of 100 mil, and they're talking about selling him this summer. There are plenty of transfer rumors on him. It's a brilliant bit of business if you can get it done. Gigi Donnarumma with AC Milan. Teams have come sniffing around for him. 40 million, 60 million, all plus Valenza for them. They would keep every dime of it because he's a homegrown player. That's the future. Buy low, sell high. Economics 101, baby. But the problem is not enough teams have been operating by this. They bring in known quantities because it reduces the valleys. It brings the peaks of winning closer together. We're always going to be in it. We always want to be ready to win it. Now look at Juve. They spent on De Ligt, they spent on Ronaldo, and then, because transfers are what they are, Gonzalo Higuain ended up stuck back in Turin. And as a result, they had to figure out a way to pay off for all these guys. They're starting to reallocate and move things around and shuffle debt in order to maintain compliance. And there are rumors that financial fair play is now looking at them. It takes money to build a winner. A consistent, steady, top-of-the-line winner. You have to figure out ways of winning while maintaining compliance. And too many people have been saying, well, forget that. Well, it's coming back and getting you. Because now word is out. If financial fair play, if you can get busted, if you can bust Man City for financial fair play violations, UEFA don't care about anybody. They're going to come for all of you. Ask AC Milan. Ask Man City. Spin like drunken sailors. That's fine. You'll miss European competition. That's what happened with Milan. The only reason Milan got found out is because the Lees couldn't make their payments and the Elliott Fund took over. And as a result, all the books were opened up. That's why. That's why Milan got busted. And so the Elliott Fund essentially just said, hey, look, let's make a deal. Man City did not say, let's make a deal. Man City said, nope, nothing to see here, nothing wrong. We will immediately appeal this decision. We will fight to the death on this. We will go to... now you're banned for 2 years and you got $30 million leaving your bank account. Okay. Cool story, bro. Let me know how that works out. The bigger issue here is that Man City and Milan are the canaries in the coal mine. The top end of soccer has a major funding issue because you can spend money on the greatest facilities on earth. You can have oil money backing you. You can have American billionaires buying your team. You can have anyone you want. Russian oligarchs buying your team. Great. Fantastic. I love it. Doesn't matter. Still comes down to 11 people on the field and the person leading them. Milan spent 250 million euro in transfers and got nothing from it. You heard me say that earlier in the show, right? Well, why did this happen? Well, it comes down to 11 players and the person leading them. And if those 11 don't win, you get found out. Or you get busted moving money around to try to construct that 11. And you get found out. Here's the thing. If you run any black market, no matter the size, no matter the situation, whether you're selling sodas for $1 each after the principal has shut off the Coke machine, don't know what you're talking about. I've never done anything like that in my life. This is a disclaimer. If you have ever ran a black market, you understand eventually you're going to get caught. You're going to get caught. It's a certainty. Any sort of situation like this, you're going to get caught. Take it from someone who's may know a couple of people who have operated black markets. You're going to get caught. Most of the time, leadership people don't care. To be honest with you, they don't care. As long as you're not hurting anyone, breaking a large number of rules, and you're not thumbing the eye of leadership, they don't care. They're fine, whatever, operate it. That's A-okay. But understand if you get caught, there's consequences. Now the problem is, Man City, you get an Amazon documentary, you have your leadership appearing on camera talking about this great, wonderful way of doing business that is revolutionary and no one's tried it before. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there are a lot of people in Europe who don't like being thumbed at like that. And when it happens, they come for you. Everyone's going to come for you. You can run all the shell games you want. You can run all the black market. You can do anything you want. If you try to game the system and you thumb your nose and you gouge the eye of leadership, they are going to come for you. And it happened here. No one came to help Lee at Milan because he was spending like a drunken sailor. No one's coming to help Man City because they thumbed their nose and they stuck their fingers in the eyes of leadership in the process of trying to run a scam. Serious violations of financial fair play the regulations. You're going to get busted. They're going to come get you. And they are. What's going to happen with Pep? Pep may leave. I mean, honestly, I think he's going to stay next season, and then he's going to leave after that. He should step away. They should take this opportunity to give the man a reprieve. Let him go to New York and hang out and walk the streets of Manhattan for a while. He seems to love doing that. But world soccer is officially on notice. If you are a fan of a major club right now, I don't care if it's Liverpool, Man United, PSG, Inter, Roma, Bayern Munich, it doesn't matter. You're all on notice. This is why the big fish want to do the Super League. Because they want to win more than anything else. Because winning is life to them. They're not wanting to prepare for defeat. They're not wanting to prepare for valleys. They're wanting to win. That's what the supporters want. That's what the backers with the cash want. We talk about it on Twitter and social media and everywhere else, how great our team is. We won this game. We won that game. Not many people are talking about being okay with the valleys. Hey, we're rebuilding. We're going to come back. We're going to take you guys out next year. Nobody wants to talk about that. But soccer has a major issue. The canaries in the coal mine have been found, dead and buried. Milan, Man City. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope it doesn't happen to your team, because everyone's doing it. To some extent, everyone's doing it. I'm not mad at them. I mean, hell, you got to get what you can. But in the end of the day, you're going to get caught. It's just a matter of time. And when it does, I hope your team cuts a deal. Milan did, City didn't. We all see how that worked out. It's going to be worth keeping an eye on. Meantime, Scarlet Bread Warlord Nicolifi, soccer over there, Crumpets Espresso. Man, it's a big fat steak on a Friday. Soccer officially went DEFCON 1 today, ladies and gentlemen. Mucho euro, y'all. Just don't get caught running a black market.
Crumpet.
Let's take a peek and see what's going on in England. Leicester and Wolves played 3 hours of football this season. Nothing happened. 2 points. No goals. 0-0 draw this time around, although Wolves did have one goal in the 43rd minute toward the end of the first half, but it was reversed on VAR. So 0-0 draw. Wolves in 7th at 36 points, ahead of Everton by 7 goals on goal difference. And then Leicester City, 1 point behind Manchester City for now, in 3rd place at 50 points, and a 9-point gap between Leicester and Chelsea at 41 points. Let's take a peek and see what else is going on for the weekend. Southampton and Burnley on Saturday. They're the early one. Southampton is at minus 134, Burnley at plus 375. Danny Ings, a lot of folks are looking at his renaissance, really, at the front of the Southampton attack that has gotten them out of the relegation fight. Horrible goal difference right now. They're minus 15, but they're in 13th place at 31 points. So there's some space for them. Burnley ahead of them on goal difference at 31 points at a minus 10. 9-4 and 12, equal records with both of those sides going at it on Saturday. So, frankly, I'm looking at the draw. Norwich and Liverpool will spend about 10 seconds on this one. Norwich is a plus 1,000. Liverpool's at a minus 400. Liverpool 22 points clear of everyone this side of Neptune. On Sunday, and remember this week was the split winter break where you had half the teams going last weekend, half the teams going this weekend. Aston Villa and Tottenham. Villa's at plus 300. Tottenham's at minus 118. And remember, Tottenham 6th for now at 37 points, 2 points behind Sheffield United, who is in the Europa spot for now. Obviously, we'll be talking a lot about this and be the lead story on soccer over there on Monday. But Tottenham in 6th, and they're chasing Sheffield United right now, and they're 4 points back at Chelsea. Villa is in the relegation fight. They are in 17th, but they're only a point ahead of West Ham and Watford, and West Ham has better goal difference at the moment, minus 13 to minus 15. Watford is at minus 16. Back to Norwich. Norwich is 6 points out of being, well, actually really 7 points out of the relegation zone, so they've got to get some things going here with 13 matches to play at 4, 6, and 15. Also, Arsenal and Newcastle. Arsenal's at minus 250. Newcastle is at plus 700, and Newcastle right now at 31 points. Arsenal also at 31 points, 10 goals better in goal difference. So a lot of folks are leaning toward Arsenal right now. In the last match on Sunday, Monday Night Football's Chelsea and Manchester United. Frank Lampard said early Friday, our time, that Christian Pulisic would not be fit enough to play in the Manchester United match on Monday night. Chelsea is at minus 118. Manchester United is at plus 350. We told you about Chelsea. Chelsea right now 4th at 41 points. Manchester United is 9th right now at 35, 4 points ahead of Arsenal, a point behind Wolves and Everton heading into the weekend. When you look at what's going on in the championship, we've been following Leeds, obviously, for the longest time. And right now they need some help to kind of help things out for themselves. West Brom got a win midweek, and they are through 32 matches and at 62 points. So 23-2 is 46, so you're looking 14 matches to go. They're at the 1/3 left. West Brom right now is 6 points ahead of Leeds. Leeds is in second, 3 points ahead of 3 goals ahead of Fulham in goal difference. And so those at 56 points, and then you get the real logjam. Brentford at 54, Nottingham Forest at 54, but their goal difference is 15 below Brentford. Brentford scored 53 goals and have only given up 26 this year. Then Preston North End is at 6 and 6th. They would be in the last promotion playoff spot. Bristol City, 8 goals behind them in goal difference. They're also at 53 points. Taking a peek at what's going on this weekend, West Brom, the aforementioned, playing Nottingham Forest. West Brom is at minus 154, and Nottingham Forest is at plus 400. Birmingham and Brentford, Birmingham's at plus 275. Brentford is at plus 100. Same for Cardiff as they're going up against Wigan. Charlton and Blackburn. Blackburn is at plus 130. Derby County is at plus 105 going up against Huddersfield. Huddersfield having a lot of issues the season after they were in the Premier League. Right now they're 20th out of the 24 teams, and they are only 5 points clear of Wigan. Stoke is only 4 points clear of Wigan, and it's a point that we keep making about life in the Championship. Once you're sent out of the Premier League, you look at the teams that have been in it recently. West Brom spending money trying to get back in. Leeds trying to get back in. Fulham trying to get back in with Shad Khan. Nottingham Forest has been close last little while. Cardiff has not. They're in 8th right now at 49. Swansea is 9th at 48 points. Blackburn is in 10th place. And Birmingham City's in 14th. Derby's in 13th. Hull City, remember Steve Bruce with them. They're in 15th. Reading, QPR, Middlesbrough, 16, 17, and 18. Huddersfield's 20. Stoke, 21. Wigan, 22. So it's traditionally tough for these sides once they get relegated to try to get back up with life in the Premier League. So it's a tough slog when it comes to all of these teams that are currently in the Championship. Leeds minus 275 going up against Bristol City, so they really could use full points there with that match at home. And once again, cross-referencing, going up against Fulham. Fulham's at minus 188 against Barnsley, so things may not change there. Middlesbrough's at minus 163 going up against Luton Town. Luton Town in the relegation fight currently. Preston North End is at plus 110 going up against Millwall. Sheffield Wednesday is at minus 106 going up against Reading, who is at plus 300. Let's take a peek and see what's going on in League One and get you through the table there as well. And the standings, currently Rotherham up top at 56 points, Peterborough's at 55, and then you have Coventry, Wickham, Sunderland, and Portsmouth all within 4 points of each other in the playoff spots. Ipswich, who had a blistering start to the league this season in League One, has fallen to 7th. They've lost 3 of their last 5. They're at 49 points. Doncaster, not far behind them at 48. Fleetwood Town at 48 also. Then you're in mid-table with Oxford United and such. Let's take a peek at the juice boxes for League One for the week. Accrington Stanley's at plus 120 against Lincoln. Wickham plus 125 against Bolton. Bolton's at plus 220 to get the win there. Bristol Rovers and Blackpool. Blackpool's at plus 150. Same for Fleetwood Town going up against Peterborough. Gillingham at plus 130. Ipswich at plus 100 going up against Burton Albion. Sunderland at plus 160 against Oxford United. 2 teams middle of the table. Pompey really is one of the few favorites this week to get full points. Portsmouth minus 182 against Shrewsbury. Rochdale at plus 120 going up against Tranmere, who's currently in the relegation fight. Rotherham at the top of the table going up against AFC Wimbledon at minus 300. Southend, who is also in the relegation zone currently, is plus 400. Coventry City's at minus 150 in League One. So that is your quick look at juice boxes in the Prem, the Championship, and League One. Enjoy the weekend, folks. We'll catch up with you Monday. Soccer over there from the Brew House and their 9,512 TVs. Play it safe, everybody. We'll see you Monday night.
Doing that traditional Scottish favourite, haggis.
All right, y'all, let's do this. Let's crack open an iron brew, grab yourself, I don't know, a little bit of haggis, maybe a meat pie. Feel good about yourself. Let's go to a league with a little more competition than the English Premier League, although Rangers is doing their best to ruin that. We'll head up to Scotland, take a look at what's going on there. And as I mentioned, Rangers kind of ruining this close competition. We go back to before the winter break and the permafrost set in. Rangers with an impressive win over Celtic. It looked like things were going to get interesting. Rangers, only 2 points behind, had a game in hand. Were in prime position to stop Celtic from getting 9 in a row and tying the fabled record. Well, since then, Celtic decided to shift into a 3-5-2 because of injuries on the wing, and they just started rattling off victories and started bludgeoning people, freeing up guys like Callum McGregor to play more actively in the middle, created a strike partnership up top with Olsen Edward and Lee Griffiths, who looks like a new human being, hasn't played this well in forever. And now they've just kind of kept on winning. Meanwhile, Rangers just haven't. Steven Gerrard's been very critical of his team's mindset and the killer instinct of it. Especially coming off of that game where they outplayed Celtic and dominated the midfield. It hasn't really been there for Rangers. It looks like it's a mentality issue, honestly. When you just step back and look at them, they lose to a Hearts team that until recently was looking at relegation, still might be looking at relegation. They get bludgeoned around a bit by Kilmarnock. They struggle with Aberdeen again. It's just these games that you expect that team with that killer mentality to take care of. They just haven't done it. So now the question becomes, because look, Steven Gerrard is going to get his looks, in my opinion, south in England. Now, what kind of league that happens in? Is that a top flight league? Who knows? Not really sure about that, or a top flight team. Not really sure where we stand with that right now. That being said, as you're trying to figure all that out, does he get a title in Scotland before that happens? I really don't know the answer to that, because right now they're 10 points back. Granted, they have a game in hand, but they've played themselves into such a tight situation that it's hard to sit here and say that Rangers is going to be able to crawl back into this thing, and that Celtic isn't going to get 9 in a row and possibly another cup trophy before then. We'll just have to see kind of how that goes. Now, as far as this weekend's action, if you are of an Atlanta United slide and you have found yourself embroiled in Aberdeen, first off, God bless you. Welcome to the land of will thee, won't thee. If you're if you're an Auburn fan, Auburn and Aberdeen kind of exist in this same weird universe with their manager, where it's a manager coach who is eternally on the hot seat. This is a fire Gus year or a keep Gus year. In the same way at Aberdeen, it's a fire Derek year or it's a keep Derek year. So right now I think we're trending more towards fire, but if they took points off of Celtic, everyone will feel better about it for at least a couple days. Taking a grander step back, looking at the whole league and the whole nation as a whole, they've got qualifiers for Euro coming up. They've got to play Israel, and Steve Clark, who is the manager of Scotland, wants the league to shift all their games to Friday night. This will be at the end of March in the lead up to the Euro 2020 playoff against Israel. Now, an insane number of players for Scotland's national team actually play in Scotland. So what he wants to do is he wants the entire league to shift their schedule to Friday night so that they have Saturday, Sunday off. They can maximize their days off before they go play this Euro 2020 playoff against Israel. Meanwhile, pressure to ban gambling in Scotland is getting very interesting. Now, keep in mind that betting firms sponsor 3 of the major tournaments in Scotland. Ladbrokes agreed recently to scale back their visibility, but it is the Ladbrokes Premier League, the SPFL. You can be offered betting on SPFL's website. You go look at the fixtures, there's offers, you can go bet there. There's a lot of visibility there, and there's a lot of pressure from outside the league to kind of dial back that visibility of the gambling advertisers or get rid of them outright. It does hit home for some people. Up at Hamilton Academical, Brian Rice is the manager there, admitted he has a gambling addiction last month. So it's such a weird situation there. A lot of them are in right now. I'm not really sure how this gets resolved, whether or not we see more companies that are associated with it kind of distance themselves. But at the same time, if you're a big company, you're going to really want to drop money on the league, big money on the league, without the visibility. Kind of defeats the purpose of the advertising. So it will be a very curious look at what's going on now. Finally, we'll hit the old firm one more time on the way out the door. Still waiting on word from Rangers about the Alfredo Morelos debacle with Sky, which it looks bad for Sky if nothing else. They've got an exclusive deal coming up with Scotland here pretty soon to cover those games, and they have managed to piss off Celtic with the translation that was not quite accurate to what Morelos said regarding racial abuse he may or may not have suffered at Celtic Park. It was bad enough that Celtic fired back at Sky over the interview that was posted, and Sky Sports pulled down the interview. Have not heard really much from Rangers on this. Celtic have pushed back on it. I hate it for a guy like Morelos, who already is a guy who draws a lot of criticism because he is kind of psychotic. He's insanely talented. He's eventually going to go play South. I imagine he's going to play somewhere other than Scotland. He's too talented not to. And he seems to be reining in his emotions at least a little bit. But he's answering questions. Something was translated incorrectly, and he's catching some flack for it for something he didn't do. He's not the one that writes his own translations in that sense. So I hate it for him. But we'll have to see if this continues to go. But yeah, not great for Sky, not great for Celtic, not great for Rangers, not great for tensions. Everyone's happy. Nothing's really ever different. Let's go back down to somewhere which has nice weather. England or Argentina or Italy. I don't know what's next, Jason. You pick it.
Mate.
All right, let's take it down to Argentina, where the weekend has already started, and it's not a good one thus far for our good friend Diego Maradona. Patronato wins with an 88th minute goal at home against Union, which means that they are 5 points clear of Gimnasia, and Patronato is still getting relegated at this point right now anyway, but they're 5 points clear of Gimnasia, who is in the basement of the Promedios table. Gimnasia is an interesting matchup tomorrow. They are in Rosario, and they're facing Rosario Central. If you go back and remember when Maradona went to Rosario for the first time with Gimnasia and played against Newell's, first they won huge, but there was also like a 30-minute presentation of Newell's fans serenading Diego, and he was given his first giant chair/throne and all kinds of craziness. Well, the Newell's fans have been serenading Diego Maradona outside of the team's hotel in Rosario because they all love Diego and they really don't care for Rosario Central. Would not be surprised if there are a lot of Newell's fans who try to get in somehow and cheer for Gimnasia tomorrow. I don't think they're going to be able to pull that one off, but you never know the ingenuity of Newell's Old Boys fans. That's one of the middle games tomorrow. River Plate are your leaders in the table, 3 points clear of Boca Juniors. River is at home on Sunday hosting Banfield, a match that they should be able to handle. Banfield is in 15th place in the current Superliga season. 4 weeks left. Boca Juniors is running out of time. They travel to Cordoba to face Central Sunday after the River match. They have to win. They have to keep the pressure on. It's a match that they should win. Central's in 17th in the table right now. Racing is on the road at Colón tonight. That game is about to kick off as we're recording. Racing's coming out after the huge win against not even crosstown rivals, but cross-the-street rivals, Independiente, last weekend. They're in 5th right now. They're 8 points back of River. It's starting to look like they're not going to be able to catch them, but they are trying to get into one of the Libertadores spots. Now, this won't be decided at the end of the Superliga season. It'll be decided at the end of the Copa de la Superliga season, which is another 11 games that'll be coming up here shortly. Argentinos is 1 point ahead of Racing. They're on the road at Atlético Tucumán on Saturday. Lanús is the team in 3rd place, 6 points behind River, 2 points ahead of Racing, and Lanús is in action on Sunday as they host Newell's Old Boys. This round is stretched out just a little bit. There are games on Sunday, on Monday, and on Wednesday in this round of matches. The round will finish up with Vélez hosting Godoy Cruz, who is at the bottom of the table this season. 15 losses out of 19 matches. The Golden Boot race is heating up a little bit. Silvio Romero of Independiente and Bordere of River Plate are both on 11 goals. We'll see if one can pull ahead of the other to claim that golden boot on their own. Bordere has been so huge for River Plate this season, and Silvio Romero has really been the main source of the attack for Independiente with almost half of their goals they've scored.
Classic smorgasbord.
We'll hit the smorgasbord of action as we finish up some crumpets and espresso and mate and haggis and a little bit of everything in this final segment. If you missed it this week, Emmanuel Adebayor has signed with Olimpia in Paraguay in one of the maybe more surprising signings that we've seen, and he was welcomed in a big way at the airport in Asunción. It's a pretty cool thing now that you're starting to see some players that you might not have expected pop up in South American leagues. Daniele De Rossi was the first one this year, and now it's Emmanuel Adebayor playing in Paraguay. See how this one goes. It's going to be a fun one to keep an eye on. Everybody is going nuts about the Manchester City storyline, and there's a lot more coming out of it as we go tonight. Now there's talk that there could be a points deduction. I've seen the BBC even throw a tweet out there that Manchester City could be dropped down to League Two. All kinds of madness. There is an appeal process that will be expedited, but we'll see how CAS handles this one, because this is the maybe biggest situation that we've seen with this, and it's the biggest test of financial fair play. It will be a story for the rest of the season. And, maybe it amps up the Manchester City Real Madrid Champions League tie that's coming up. That could be very intriguing, because Manchester City might not be what we've known Manchester City to be a whole lot longer, with all of this madness going on and points deductions and suspensions and all kinds of craziness. So that Real Madrid-Manchester City series could be maybe a little bit of a last chance saloon for Pep Guardiola in Manchester. We'll see how this goes. Champions League in this part of the world gets started next week with the round of 16. Big news out of Costa Rica with Saprissa, who will be hosting Montreal Impact next week. They do not have a league match this weekend, as Costa Rican club Grecia is forced to... It's a little unclear if they are forfeiting these games or if they are being postponed. There have been licensing issues. It looks like it's revolving around rent payments at their facility, at their stadium. It's the third game this season that they've had to have suspended at this point. So Saprissa gets a weekend off ahead of the match with Montreal, and San Carlos, the opponent for New York City, they play this weekend. They play at Herediano, a team Atlanta United knows well, but they get next weekend off because they're scheduled with Grecia. And that has not been officially announced just yet, but Grecia matches are being postponed pretty consistently right now, so you would expect that to happen. That's going to make Champions League a little interesting for the Costa Rican squads as they get a bit of a break. The Honduran squads are playing through the weekend. You have Motagua and Olimpia both playing. Motagua with a very difficult match as they face Real España this weekend, one that a lot of people in Honduras are looking forward to. The other team in the CONCACAF Champions League that is facing a Major League Soccer opponent is Club León. They play tonight against Atlético San Luis in Liga MX action. On Monday, we'll go pretty deep dive into Champions League preview. We'll update how everybody did over the weekend. We'll preview each of the matches for next week in CONCACAF. Remember, those games have been picked up by Fox Sports. FS1 will have games, FS2 will have games, Fox Sports Plus will have games, TUDN and all of the TUDN extra channels will have matches as well. So CONCACAF Champions League, we'll be talking a lot about it starting on Monday's Soccer Over There show. Enjoy your weekend. Hopefully we'll see a bunch of you out on Saturday at Wild Heaven West End. And hopefully we'll see a bunch of you out on Monday for Soccer Over There, live from the Brewhouse Cafe. As we get ready, CONCACAF Champions League, Manchester City Madness, UEFA Champions League next week. There will be plenty to talk about at the Brew House on Monday. Until then, see y'all soon.
Crumpets Espresso.